Hi, I'm Randy Altman with Post Perspective. We're here with Dave Frederick from NetApp. Dave, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Before we even start, why don't you tell people what NetApp does in relationship to media and entertainment, and also in relation to visual effects animation?
Many people know NetApp as a storage company, and we are a storage company, but we are primarily a software company, and that's what people don't necessarily know much about. NetApp has a much greater presence in the cloud and in software that manages data, and to be able to make sure that you have the data that you need in front of the person who needs it when they need it. And that's a big part of what NetApp does these days.
You guys have been doing this for a very, very long time. What have you seen as the big drivers for change in terms of data management and such?
Yes, so this is an interesting time. So for years, media was so heavy, media data was so heavy, you had to have specially built systems that were specifically designed to handle media production, whether it's animation or editing or whatever that happens to be. And what's been happening lately is that network infrastructure and storage systems like flash-based systems and all of that, those capabilities have come up to meet some of the needs of the industry. Simultaneously, though, the industry has been moving from standard definition to high definition to 4K and beyond, and 8K. But the gap is closing. And one of the dynamics that we see is that companies that used to rely on small vendors to produce very specialized media production infrastructure can now take advantage of commercially available storage and data management systems that allow them to take advantage of economies of scale and also gain higher levels of reliability, and at the same time utilize cloud services for what they're good for and utilize on-premises storage for what it's good for. And there are times when you want to put something into the cloud to have it processed or analyzed or something, but you may not want to leave it there because you may want to get it back quickly or easily. So dealing with that kind of data management is, and that data mobility, let's call it that, is really what NetApp is all about.
Okay, well, you brought up working on-prem, and also, I mean, we can't not talk about working remotely. More and more people are doing that. How are you, how is NetApp making sure that people have access to the data, and also how that data is protected?
Yeah, so one of the things that happens is that with the cloud, all the major clouds, you're dealing with a different type of file protocol. The S3 protocol is a different thing than what you use in an on-premises storage system like a SAN or a NAS system. So one of the products, for lack of a better word, that we offer is the ability to put file system data in any of the major clouds and be able to access that as files as opposed to as objects. And so that means that editors and artists and people that need to work on it don't have to go through a separate process of bringing an object down and converting it to a file before they can use it in their applications. So this gives direct access of applications to the cloud. Now, at the same time, you may not want to keep everything in the cloud because of transfer times and that sort of thing. So we also build into our file systems a lot of technology around caching, either caching in the cloud or caching locally, and also tiering, which can do so on a block by block, a data block basis. And this means it's almost like, if you think of what video streaming is like, what we do is data streaming. So if we've got something stored in the cloud as a file and an artist accesses that file, then what happens is we begin to stream that file as blocks, and they get immediate access to it, even though it may take longer than a few seconds, or even in some cases a few minutes to download, they can start to work on it right away. And that kind of workflow is what we're trying to optimize with those technologies. And we see remote workers really taking advantage of that.
Okay. What is data fabric? What do people need to know about it, and how does NetApp employ it?
Yeah, well, this gets to your question about data protection and also data availability and mobility. Is that by creating a file system that is truly global, a global namespace, which could be in your office, at your headquarters, let's say in your office at home, at your headquarters across the state or across the country, in a remote production facility in another country, and having all of those, and also in the cloud, any of the clouds, having all of those exist within a single global namespace makes accessing the data and getting it to the people who need it when they need it much easier and much less complicated. Because one of the things we hear from customers all the time is, we got to get rid of these silos. We've got so many storage silos. We're copying data around. We end up with a lot of extra wasted space in our storage systems because of that. We're losing some files sometimes just because of this movement. And this concept of data fabric not only provides access, but it also provides protection, because we can store snap mirror images and do backups and incremental backups almost instantly. So as people are working on shows, the work that they're doing gets backed up in the cloud, on premises, in another location, or all of the above. And it happens so quickly once they've copied that initial data that they don't even know it's happening. And so they can always go back to whatever point they want to. And and this actually kind of plays into the whole ransomware thing, which is you got to have a place that you can go back to when something like that locks up your data, and it has to be somewhere other than an artist system or even a headquarters system. So data fabric is really that connective tissue between multiple locations that allows you to view this as a truly global file system.
Fantastic. Okay, before I let you go, finally, what trends do you see coming up in the rest of 2021 into 2022 in terms of visual effects, animation, that type of thing?
Yeah, well, obviously, I think AI is an important technology, and media is getting more and more wrapped around. They're getting their heads wrapped around what AI is good for and how they can use it. So processing content in the cloud and using AI to generate metadata. What a lot of people don't realize is they can put a original file into the cloud, analyze it, get the metadata down very inexpensively, and abandon the file, get rid of the original file without having to incur the egress charges. And so there's going to be a new workflow, and there's going to be applications that will help drive that workflow, and we're starting to see those.